They are all quitting, Donald, as we predicted. The career prosecutors at the Department of Justice, Main Justice, and the assistant United States attorneys at the various divisions across the country are saying, we quit. We are not working for a fascist regime. We are not putting our names on pieces of paper that violate the Constitution. No way, no how. Go and find other people who will do that for you, Donald. We are not risking our bar licenses, nor are we sacrificing our reputations for this fascist regime. And these people are saying, we don't want to work for people like Paul Ingrassia, a first-year lawyer who was just placed to be the leader of the Office of Special Counsel. People who go, cringe. Blank check for Zelensky, based. Blank check for Putin, a first-year lawyer who praises Putin, or who called Nikki Haley a, quote, insufferable bitch, someone who writes, Trump is the Constitution, or someone who says, at this point, I'd vote for Cuomo over Ron DeHomo, someone who repeatedly used anti-Semitic dog whistles to describe prominent Jewish public figures, someone who trafficked in conspiracy theories, including on October 8th, 2023, describing the Hamas-led attacks and the war as a psyop. So you have that person over there. People don't want to work for Alina Habba, who is a total hack who goes on TV and says, I'm not a hack. She was voted out by the federal judges in her district in New Jersey, but she refuses to leave like a sociopath. She goes, I'm not leaving. And now you have all of the prosecutions in New Jersey are potentially going to be dismissed because you have an unlawful United States attorney in that district. People don't want to work for a guy like Bill Asalee, a young MAGA United States attorney in the Central District of California, who says basically, I'm not listening to what the courts are saying. F that. F the Department of Justice manual. Screw it. So all of these career prosecutors who go to good law schools don't want to work for these morons. They don't want to work for right-wing fascists. And they also saw what happened to Jeff Clark, Donald Trump's attorney the first time around, who worked at the Department of Justice, who lost his bar license by the District of Columbia that said, we don't care that, that you're under the protection of Donald Trump. You're violating your ethical responsibilities. Now, we reported, and lots of other people reported, Reuters did the initial report back on July 14th, but we've been talking about this on the MeidasTouch network really since January and February. But the Reuters report was that 2/3 of the Department of Justice unit defending Trump policies have quit. So the division within the DOJ that has to defend Trump's executive's order, they all said, I quit. 2/3 of them, and they have not been replaced. And then you had Jeanine Pirro, the Fox host, who's now the main United States attorney for Washington, D.C. She went on Laura Ingraham, and Laura Ingraham says, on Fox, on State Regime Media, Ingraham goes, I've been hearing there's a big problem with staffing. What's going on? To which Jeanine Pirro, again, she's now the main prosecutor in DC. She goes, I'm down 90 prosecutors. She goes, because nobody cared enough to make sure that office was running. Who are you referring to? There were full staffing under Biden. There was full staffing under Obama. There was full staffing under George W. Bush. These are, I'm telling y'all, as someone who went to Georgetown Law School, the DOJ used to hire the best of the best. You'd work at the Department of Justice for a number of years. That would be a path to potentially becoming a federal judge, or you would then go into private practice. Those lawyers then make millions of dollars after they work at the DOJ for 7 to 10 years, huge salaries. Then they can go back into the DOJ later in their career, potentially become federal judges. Top law schools, highly competitive. Like, it's as hard to get those DOJ jobs in past administrations as it is to get into Harvard. It's like it's the elite of the elite. Not anymore. All these career prosecutors are saying, see ya, we are leaving. Take a look at what Jeanine Pirro says. Here, play this clip.
Judge, I've been hearing from my sources at the DOJ that there is a very, very big problem with staffing. Assistant attorney generals on rundown saying, we have great plans, we're doing great things, but we're down like 2/3 staff.
Yeah, I'm
What's
down
going on?
90 prosecutors.
Why is that happening?
60 investigators
Why?
and paralegals, because nobody cared. I'm telling you right now, nobody cared enough to make sure that office was running. I'm going to have that office running. If you want a job in the nation's capital, in the premier office, the largest U.S. attorney's office, contact me.
And folks, just take, for example, what's going on with the Epstein cover-up. The fact that the Department of Justice sent the number 2, Todd Blanche, whose qualifications are that he was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. So he became the number 2 at the DOJ, and they're giving Ghislaine Maxwell immunity while she's serving a 20+ year sentence for sex trafficking. And then Donald Trump fired Maureen Comey, the lead federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, who prosecuted Ghislaine and who was prosecuting Epstein before he allegedly died by suicide. Other prosecutors then left that Southern District of New York office as well. And they're working for private law firms right now because they can't be complicit in a cover-up of a pedo sex trafficking ring. They don't want to be complicit. People don't want to be complicit as Donald Trump tries to overthrow birthright citizenship, as Donald Trump sends ICE to disappear human beings. Folks, there's going to be a reckoning. I'm telling you, democracy will prevail, and these federal prosecutors do not want to be on the wrong side of history. So Trump has to find his Bill Saleys and his Alina Habas and his Paul Ingracias and people like that. Let me show you this powerful moment in the past few months. Ryan Croswell, top prosecutor, career prosecutor. He quit Trump's DOJ after they dropped the Eric Adams charges. He's actually now running for Congress, but here's what he said. He goes, "The day after I resigned, my sister had her first daughter. I want my niece to know that that the same democracy that I've known, that's worth any cost." Here, play this clip.
At this point, too many lines have been crossed, and so I too resigned. The threats against current members of the legal community, both in public service and private practice, are real and they're of consequence. To those attorneys facing such threats, I share with you a message that I received on the day that my colleagues and I were ordered to dismiss the Adams case. It came from a fellow Marine. It read, "Keep your head up and keep your values and your oath at the forefront." Every attorney who takes an oath to uphold the law, and every citizen who values democracy, must have a line in the sand that cannot be crossed. Speaking out and doing the right thing increasingly comes with personal risk. But the day after I resigned, my sister had her first daughter, and I want my niece to know the same democracy that I've known. That's worth any cost. That's worth fighting for.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who were approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, "Can you help us?" And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, POPOK-AF. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. And again, we've been reporting on how back in February, there were people like Josh Stuve, senior official at the DOJ, resigned, 15-year veteran who served both the GOP and Democratic administrations. I cannot continue to serve in such a hostile and toxic work environment, one where leadership at the highest levels makes clear we are not welcomed or valued. The leader in the criminal division in Tennessee in the Abrego Garcia case quit when Donald Trump and the DOJ went after their politicized BS indictment against Abrego Garcia when they brought him back into the United States. The career prosecutors are saying, we do not want to lose our licenses. We're not going to support the fascist regimes here. As Julie Zebrek writes, the brain drain losses from one of the most prestigious offices in the DOJ, the Civil Rights Division, losing most of its lawyers. It will be interesting to see how the DC federal judges handle all of the Department of Justice requests for extensions because lack of staff. Remember what we've been reporting on the MeidasTouch Network, and I think I said it back in February. I said, I predict that you're going to have this massive tsunami, this exodus of the career prosecutors, and then the Trump DOJ is not going to be able to handle the cases. They're not going to be able to paper these cases from the law firms and the lawyers who are going to be suing the Trump administration, or when the Trump regime sues, they're not going to be able to handle just the pace of the litigation. And the federal judges understand and they recognize what's going on with the Trump regime right now. You have Mark Zaid, a great lawyer. He goes, for many years, national security lawyer. He goes, for many years, most of my cases, often high profile or could impact national policy against the U.S. government, were handled by attorneys at the Justice Department Federal Programs Branch, usually top-notch professionals, nonpartisan lawyers. It is shameful what has happened to them. And one of the things we're seeing as well with these inexperienced lawyers, or as the good career prosecutors leave, we're just seeing the sloppiness of the lawyering. Like, for example, in one of the cases, MTA versus Duffy, the DOJ submitted their internal memo informing the judge that they believed they would lose the case in their internal memo. They accidentally filed that memo to the judge saying, we will be losing this case. And the judge is like, okay, well, now you realize that's a state bar violation. You are not allowed to pursue cases that you know you're going to lose because the case law doesn't favor you. Oh, here's what the Bill Asaley guy, the main lawyer in Central District of California, says. He goes, F the justice manual, but he cursed. To embarrass Democrats, I'm going to do it. We've got tricks up our sleeves, everybody. And the career prosecutors are saying, we don't want to be affiliated with this. Here's Alina Habba, the main attorney, still in New Jersey. She refuses to leave. She's basically holding the position, in my view, without appropriate authorization at this point. But she goes, I'm not a hack. I'm a real lawyer. I'm not a hack, everybody. Here, play this clip.
I'm not a political hack. I'm an attorney licensed in 4 states. I've been licensed by the Supreme Court of the United States, and I have practiced law for the better of 20 years and run law firms for most of 15 that have been extremely successful, despite what the Twitter trolls would like to say. I mean, so-called this, so-called hack, so-called name calling is kind of beneath me, to be honest. I frankly would never despise somebody I've never even spoken to, but I assume he thinks he knows who I am. I'm a really accomplished attorney. I'm very proud of the work that I've done, and quite honestly, a fierce defender of the Constitution, a patriot, and I love this country. Now, I would never hold any position. He's a politician. I am not. I'm an attorney. But at the end of the day, I am not a so-called U.S. attorney or a so-called hack or whatever he wants to call me. My name is Alina Habba. I'm an attorney, and I've been practicing for a very long time. And I am sick and tired of the name calling. I think it is exactly the toxicity that this country is done with.
Here's our friend, Democratic Congress member Dan Goldman. And here he explains, nope, she actually is a hack. She goes, and Congressmember Goldman used to be a career prosecutor, and he goes, I would never sign my name to any of these pleadings. Here, play this clip.
I want to know what prosecutor is actually going to put his or her name on that indictment. And I want to see if, like what we saw in the Southern District of New York, where there was just a parade of resignations when they were asked to do something that was so clearly political and so clearly contrary to their oath of office. Alina Habba doesn't care. She's a hack. She doesn't even know how to introduce evidence into court during a trial.
That's a factual statement. We saw it happen.
And yet she's the U.S. attorney in New Jersey. She'll say anything. She'll do anything. But those prosecutors, those career prosecutors, and I was one, I would never put my name on that indictment. I would resign before I put my name on that indictment. And so part of what we need to do is explain where there are the pressure points, where are the leverage points, what's the next step. And that's true in this case, but it's also true with this reconciliation bill. It's also true with everything that they're trying to do, because to your point, Michael, everything they say is false.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned him, so here is Bill Asaley. He's the Central District of California prosecutor. Watch this.
Yeah, this is targeting the Central District of California, which it's a large area. It's 7 counties. But this is lawfare simply. This is what this is. It's lawfare. They tried to bring a lawsuit 2 weeks ago. It was denied. So what they did is they actually filed a series of small cases until they found a judge they liked, and then they amended the complaint to make it a class action lawsuit. So these are the type of dirty tactics. And not only that, Laura, they filed it on the eve of the 4th of July to try to sandbag us. So that's what's going on here. This order, by the way, we do not detain people without reasonable suspicion. So that's not the issue. You know what it says in the order? She lists a category of things we're not allowed to consider to determine reasonable suspicion, amongst which is the workplace, where they're working, where they're located, and what type of job they're working. We have a bunch of locations where we know documented that they employ illegal immigrants, and she's saying we're not allowed to consider that.
And now that hack, that guy Paul Ingrassia, who made the posts calling Nikki Haley an insufferable bitch and praising Putin and saying all of these things, he's leading the office of the special counsel. Trump keeps on pushing his confirmation hearing out because he doesn't have the votes to get confirmed. In the meantime, Ingrassia opened up and launched a criminal investigation or a special investigation into special counsel Jack Smith. Now, again, special counsel Jack Smith is one of these career DOJ guys who is well respected amongst the rank and file because he is a nonpartisan guy. He was always out there just prosecuting public integrity cases. And now you have little dweebs like Paul Ingrassia out there going after the Jack Smiths of the world. And it's absolutely ridiculous. So that's where we're at right now. You saw the admission there from Jeanine Pirro that they just don't have the lawyers anymore. Almost like all the lawyers have quit. Now you just have the most extremist, authoritarian, totalitarian, anti-constitution people there, but you still have a federal bench that recognizes that right now. Our federal judiciary still, other than the Supreme Court, at the district court level, they don't think too kindly of these Trump hacks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.